Ladies and gentlemen, it is no exaggeration to say that Bitcoin is in a freefall. Ever since we broke down from our ascending support line, stemming backwards from the 2021 all-time highs a couple of weeks ago, we have been dropping relentlessly. With that said, there is a major bouncing zone that Bitcoin is making an approach onto right now between $70,000 roughly and $74,000. That is the upper resistance range of the prior macro consolidation region, this region right here that encompassed most of 2024, which is also bolstered via the Gaussian channel on the weekly chart, which is a very, very important indicator. It's been absolutely and utterly influential in the Bitcoin price, historically speaking. When we enter the Gaussian channel, we move through it with 100% degree of accuracy, meaning if we were to enter this Gaussian channel definitively and specifically break below the center line, we would likely move through it and start a bear market, as that would mark a breakdown from this support region at 70 to 74,000 and the Gaussian channel itself. So that is what we need to avoid doing. But obviously, we haven't quite got down to that zone yet, and so we have a little bit of breathing room here on Bitcoin remaining. But we don't just bounce randomly. We need a catalyst to bounce. And as we approach this support region, it's becoming concrete in the minds of investors that there is support there. People know there's support there. If you look at this price region we've been in the last week or so, between around 85,000 and 74,000, there's no historical data here. We've never been this high before on Bitcoin. And so people aren't really expecting any bounces here, and therefore they're not buying very strongly here, which explains the fact that we're seeing a free for all. However, as we approach this support region at 70,000 to 74,000, people may be starting to expect a bounce, and therefore any small catalyst could send Bitcoin onto that bounce even preemptively. Today, we may see a catalyst just like that, which comes via the CPI data, which is releasing in under 12 hours. For those of you who don't know, the CPI data is the inflation data, and that's going to be very important today. So we'll get into a lot of stuff today. We'll get into Bitcoin. We'll look into it further. We'll look into what you guys think about the 4-year cycle. And I'll also ask you guys to post some questions there. I did a community poll, and I said, ask me a question you'd like to see answered about the market in an upcoming video. So if you're interested in doing that, you can throw me a question in the YouTube community page. Before we get into it today, guys, we have an exchange here that has never been hacked before in 3.5 years of being on the market. That is global non-KYC. You can sign up from anywhere in the world and use this exchange without a VPN. And furthermore, with my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, as well as $8,000 plus USDT in trading rewards added to your account as trading bonuses for signing up with my referral link down below. This is big stuff here. It's an excellent deal. I reached out to them for partnership. They did not reach out to me. I don't get paid by them. The only thing I get is a referral link. And if you want all those things I just mentioned, which you should, trust me, I've done the scouting of the market, you can use my link down below to sign up. It takes 30 seconds and you'll get those rewards and bonuses, and you'll help out the channel. I appreciate that, guys. Let's get into the content. I asked a question yesterday, will the 4-year cycle break this year? And the results were kind of surprising, actually. I was quite interested to see this. It was a 50-50 split among my audience. Now, for those of you who might be watching the channel for the first time, it's very important to note that my channel is heavily predicated on the 4-year cycle, more so than probably most analysts. I have very clearly identified, and I don't see this as an opinion, I see this as an absolute fact. There's no debate here. I've very clearly identified, as well as other people, of course, that the 4-year cycle, the date range trend that is historically predicted, the distance in days between bottoms and tops, bottoms and halvings, halvings and bottoms, halvings and tops, is very concrete and suggests that we'll be topping out in around October this year, okay? That is the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle is not just a Bitcoin thing, so it's not just Bitcoin related. It also goes into the S&P 500, it goes into the presidential cycle theory, and it goes into something called the 18.6-year real estate economic cycle theory. So these are things that have been happening and occurring in traditional markets and real estate markets across the world, specifically in the West, since the 1950s. Okay, so this is not just a Bitcoin thing. The 4-year cycle is a broader market trend. And of course, Bitcoin does not act individually at this point. It acts with the broader market because it reacts to the macroeconomic circumstances. So therefore, it's kind of a whole market ordeal, I should say. Nothing to do with just Bitcoin alone. It's the whole picture. It's if this breaks, we're talking about a break of trends in the traditional market as well. So it's a very, very major thing. It wouldn't just be Bitcoin isolated. But even if it was just Bitcoin isolated, let's just take the worst possible analysis of the 4-year cycle and say, okay, it's just Bitcoin. Nothing else really matters. This is just a Bitcoin trend. Even if that was the case, This has still been around since 2012, since the very first halving, for 13 years, and it has not failed once. It has not failed, even in unique circumstances like 2021, where we saw a massive correction in the middle of the cycle. It's still managed to predict, to the day, almost perfectly, the top, and to the day, almost perfectly, the bottom. So 4-year cycle is very, very strong, and it's quite surprising to see about 50% of you, 52% of you thinking it might break. Now, I don't think it's surprising in a way, but I don't think it's unjustified. We have seen very strange price action this cycle, right? And we are at threat here. We are at serious risk. And I don't sit here and say you should be buying here. I'm not buying here, right? I see this as a very, very dangerous position for Bitcoin to be in. And I also understand the fact that this just is a unique market environment, more unique than usual. Now, obviously, every cycle is unique. Every cycle is different. And yet every cycle has been able to maintain the 4-year cycle, but this time is actually really fundamentally different. It's fundamentally different via the main mechanism that the Federal Reserve has to move markets, and that is interest rates. This is the first time in the last 2 years, 2022 was the first time ever in the entire history, right, of what we have here, the interest rate data in relation to the S&P 500, for example, where the Federal Reserve decided to increase interest rates during an S&P 500 bear market. That's never happened before, ever. And this actually is genuinely a very unique market environment. And for that reason, I don't consider the chance of the 4-year cycle breaking as an irrational overstatement. I think it is a real chance this time. But, it has not happened yet. We have not broken the 4-year cycle yet. At this point, it is still intact. And so we still need to be watching it and having a degree of faith in it that it will remain, because although we are seeing genuinely unique circumstances this time, it's not like the previous times have been perfect 101 textbook cycles, right? We've seen unique circumstances before, perhaps nothing to this scale, but it's not, again, it's not like every cycle's perfect. So where do I stand on whether the 4-year cycle will break this year or not? I'm inclined to say it won't. I'm inclined to say no, that it won't break, but that's just due to the fact that the trend is your friend until it ends. I'm not very confident in any sort of answer there. I'm simply waiting and seeing. But we are in a macro bull market still. There is a macro upwards trend, and that does not change until what I mentioned at the start of the video occurs, until we break down below, in my view, this support zone around 70,000 US dollars, and the center line specifically, which is actually at 63K, but rising at the moment. Until those things break, I think Bitcoin is still in a bull market, structurally speaking, as we are still in a chance to form a higher low here. But, we look at the medium-term charts right now, and we don't really see any particular sign of relief. We see Bitcoin actually finding this green line on the screen here, this moving average, the 200 moving average on the daily chart, which previously acted as support even in this no man's land, even in this drop, is now being flipped for resistance. That's a bad sign. There could be another downside move coming here, especially if the CPI comes in bearish later today. We also see a resistance support flip from the triangle on the RSI. That's very bad news as well. If that CPI comes in later today, we will reject there. We will go down even further, potentially down towards our major support zone, our final support zone there, around 70,000. So very big stuff happening today with CPI. We need to see a positive CPI release. We need to see good things here. What does Bitcoin need to do to flip back bullish? I've spoken about it many times before. I'll say it one more time. We need to flip this Gaussian channel on the daily chart, the center line. Okay, because that is the resistance zone we rejected from multiple times before going downwards and actually starting this drop in the first place. And that would be a flip of around 97,000. We also need to break up on momentum here, break above this triangle formation on the daily chart RSI. And other things need to occur as well, but that's for Bitcoin. Obviously, S&P 500 is in free fall right now, and it needs to desperately clamber back above its price support zone. As for Ethereum, Ethereum is below macro support. So Ethereum is just destroyed, quite frankly. Ethereum is back at levels it hasn't seen since basically 2022 at this point, which is absolutely brutal. Obviously, a Bitcoin recovery will lead to some sort of recovery on Ethereum, but it's hard to say whether Ethereum will be as strong as it has been in previous cycles given this massive drop. And the same can be said for altcoins. Will there be an altcoin season of some sort? If Bitcoin recovers, I assume there will be, because the money in cryptocurrency, the money flow cycle, I call it, happens a certain way, which is people get bored of Bitcoin, they filter their money into altcoins looking for higher returns. I expect that to happen again, but at this point, the idea of a traditional altcoin season with 10x's, 100x's everywhere, I think that's very much damaged. I think that actually might be unlikely at this point. Will we see something? Yes, of course we will. But the amount of instability Ethereum particularly has had here, the leader of the altcoin market, is genuinely concerning for the altcoin market's health as a whole. So big potential catalyst today with the CPI release. It could be a non-event, it could be a dud, but it also could be a catalyst, and I'm hoping that it is a catalyst. So we'll keep our eye out. and we'll update you on that situation tomorrow. Again, guys, check out this questionnaire right here, not questionnaire, but ask me a question, an AMA, about the market, and I'll answer it in an upcoming video. I want to hear what you guys are thinking right now. I want to hear what you guys want me to talk about right now. It's a very interesting time. I'm sure you have a lot to say. I'll also just one more time mention, we have an exchange here that has never been hacked before in 3.5 years of being on the market. That is global non-KYC. You can sign up from anywhere in the world and use this exchange without a VPN. And furthermore, with my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, as well as $8,000 plus USDT in trading rewards added to your account as trading bonuses for signing up with my referral link down below. This is big stuff here. It's an excellent deal. I reached out to them for partnership. They did not reach out to me. I don't get paid by them. The only thing I get is a referral link. And if you want all those things I just mentioned, which you should, trust me, I've done the scouting of the market, you can use my link down below to sign up. It takes 30 seconds and you'll get those rewards and bonuses, and you'll help out the channel. I appreciate that, guys. Let's get into the content. And finally, guys, our Telegram group, VIP group on Telegram, 4 trading signals per week, access to a group chat of 160 other members. You can't go wrong. Get on there if you're interested. Thank you, guys.